The first time Princess Sirella saw Commander Elias Vance smile. He was ordering rebel fighters into plasma fire. The bridge shook, alarms screamed, officers shouted, and the human only said, "Fire again," with a calmness that made her skin crawl. On Illyria, even warriors mourned openly. But humans, she thought, fought like engineers fixing a machine, efficient, brilliant, and heartless. From that moment, she decided Elias Vance was proof that humanity had traded tenderness for survival. She was aboard the Terran warship Resolute as part of a treaty exchange. A royal observer meant to symbolize peace, and Vance irritated her from the start. Not because he was cruel, but because he was never visibly soft. When a deckhand spilled broth across a console, he handed him a cloth and told him to save the circuitry. When a wounded Marine tried to apologize, he told her to heal first and explain later. Always practical, always controlled. And when Sirella accused him of treating people like replaceable parts, he answered, "Dead people do not benefit from kindness delivered too late," then walked away as if the subject bored him. She hated how the crew trusted him anyway. Hated how they relaxed when he entered a room. Hated how even fear seemed to organize itself around his voice. Because it meant there was something in him she did not yet understand. Then the distress call came. A nursery transport called Starling Nest had been hit by pirates near Laron Ix. When the Resolute found it, the vessel was spinning, scarred open, and leaking atmosphere. Rescue teams pulled out the adult survivors first, and every one of them cried the same thing: the hatchlings. Find the hatchlings. A weak scan caught tiny Karathi churs, somewhere beyond a collapsed nursery deck. But the tactical officer warned of rising radiation and a failing reactor. The captain demanded options, and Vance said, "Evacuate survivors, prepare remote detonation." "We cannot lose this ship for a compartment we cannot reach." Sirella felt fury flood her chest, because all she heard was this: children were still inside. And the human had already decided they were acceptable losses. The shuttle bay became a chamber of grief, smoke drifting through half-sealed doors. Medics wrapping broken wings and burned talons. Karathi parents clawing at rescue harnesses and begging to go back. One mother collapsed against Sirella's arms, shaking so hard her feathers came loose like ash. Another kept repeating the names of her hatchlings as if names alone could guide them home. And across that heartbreak stood Vance, steady as iron, giving withdrawal orders, confirming blast zones, preparing for the final mercy of detonation. To Sirella, it looked unbearable, unforgivable, like watching a man build a tomb while the children inside were still crying. That was when she struck him, right there in the shuttle bay. With grieving parents screaming all around them, she told him humanity had hidden its soul well. The room fell silent. Vance touched the red mark on his cheek, glanced once toward the ruined transport beyond the viewport, and said only, "Get to the shuttle, princess." Then he sealed the bay behind her. What she did not know was that he had sent everyone away so he could go back alone. From the shuttle, Sirella saw a new signal appear on the console. One unauthorized beacon moving inside the wreck. Deeper toward the nursery deck, the live helmet feed cracked open. Elias Vance, alone with a breather mask, a cutter, and a locator drone. He crawled through smoke, sealed a whole tier, cut through a fused hatch, and followed the faint hatchling cries while the reactor timer bled red on the corner of the screen. His breathing never changed, not because he did not care, Sirella realized, but because panic wasted seconds. Then the feed swung into darkness, and there they were. 37 hatchlings huddled beneath overturned incubation cradles, alive, terrified, still crying. The shuttle erupted in sobs, but the worst part was ahead. The path back had collapsed, and Vance could not carry them by hand. So he improvised, tearing coolant tubes from the wall, making a dragging sling around the warming mesh, clipping his little drone to the front as a guide light. Then he knelt beside the hatchlings and spoke in that same calm voice she had once mistaken for ice. "Easy now, little ones. Stay loud for me. I need to hear you." The words hit Sirella harder than any speech because they were so gentle. Because they came from the man she had judged most harshly, the signal cut twice. Metal screamed, sparks rained, parents wailed. And each time the feed returned, he was a little closer, a little bloodier. Still pulling that cradle through the collapsing shaft, then the airlock burst open, and hope came crawling through fire. Vance staggered into the bay burned, limping, one arm useless, dragging the sling behind him, and inside it the hatchlings chirred like living stars. The Karathi parents rushed forward with cries, so raw, even the Marines looked away. Medics grabbed Vance before he fell, but he still forced out the count. 37 in, 37 out. Only then did his knees give way. Sirella dropped beside him, her anger shattered into shame. He looked up through soot and blood, managed the faintest smile, and whispered, "Dead people still do not benefit from kind words, princess. But living hatchlings sometimes do later." While the recovery deck filled with songs of thanks, Sirella stood before the crew and admitted she had been wrong. She had thought humans were heartless because they hid feeling behind discipline, because they made brutal choices with steady hands, because they did not perform mercy-like ceremony but human compassion. She said was not absent, it was armored. It stayed cold on the outside so others could survive the heat. It accepted hatred if hatred bought one more minute, one more chance, one more life. And when she visited Elias Vance in the med bay, asleep at last, bandaged from throat to wrist, one hand still curled as if gripping that improvised sling, she finally understood humanity, not a species without hearts, but a species whose hearts burned so fiercely they had learned to shield the flame, until something small, lost, and helpless cried in the dark, and then that hidden fire came running,